Today's modern stove is not your grandpa's antique stove. These EPA rated cast iron stoves are designed to maximize combustion, heat to their fullest potential with a minimum of emissions. Now there are stoves out there today that will burn everything from wood pellets to coal. But to keep things simple for this segment, I'm only going to be discussing the standard steel plated cast iron wood burning stove, catalytic and non-catalytic. Now I'm going to share some information with you that I hope it will help you to better understand the capabilities of your stove and its potential. A wood stove, by definition, is a closed appliance. Catalytic versus non-catalytic. Well, the short of it all is that a catalytic stove is more efficient, and a non-catalytic stove, it's simpler to operate, and they're probably more common today. The idea behind a catalytic stove is that it has an object called a combustor, and it's usually a round honeycomb type device, and it's going to be made out of materials like platinum or palladium, and those are designed to trap the smoke and reignite it and the byproducts. And what this means is that you're going to have longer burn times with less wood, and you're going to have less smoke and creosote going up through your chimney. Now there's a few things to consider when using a catalytic stove. They have what's called a bypass dampener system. Typically it's a valve or a handle on the side of your stove which you have to open and close at certain times in order to maximize your burns. And for some people, they prefer not to have to babysit or have the additional work involved with doing something like that. Now, catalytic stoves also are particular about what you can burn in them. Glossy magazines, colored newsprint, painted lumber, coal, things like that are going to gum up or contaminate the combustor. Wet wood will do the same thing, and that will shorten the life of a combustor, which typically has a lifespan of about 5 to 7 years. However, products like that in your stove are going to shorten it significantly. A tightly sealed chimney is also key for a catalytic stove. You need to maintain a strong draft when you're trying to achieve those long, cool, low temperature burns. Now, a non-catalytic stove, for example, doesn't have the kind of requirements. You can burn a lot of things in that. Of course, you don't want to burn trash and garbage, but you can get away with burning a lot more types of wood and wood products than you can in a catalytic stove. A non-catalytic stove will use secondary combustion air to burn off the wood gases before it goes out of your wood stove and up the chimney. Non-catalytic stoves are typically cheaper, maybe 10% or so, than a catalytic wood stove. Now, another thought on manufacturer stove ratings is as a homeowner, you're using cordwood. It's been cut, split, it might have been knotty, stringy, different species, even wet when you're using it. The manufacturers use what's called crib wood. Now, crib wood is a specific species, a certain size, maybe 2x4s, 4x4s. They'll be bonded together. And the stove makers do this because they want repeatability in their methods and in their results. Also, they achieve their efficiency numbers at wide open operation. In other words, hot and fast. Now that works fine in their facilities. If you had to do that in your house, it wouldn't be very long before you'd be going out the front door with your hair smoking. Most of the time, 40% efficiency is probably good enough for what you're doing to heat your home. Maybe at night it's only going to be 20%. When you get up in the morning, it could be up to 80 or 90%. You know, those all depend. But those ratings are I don't want to say misleading, but you need to understand how they achieve those numbers. It's no different than, say, gas mileage advertisements. My Chevy truck may have been advertised at 22 miles per gallon. I've only gotten 14, but then I drive up mountains and in mud, not on steel bearings in a closed environment at a certain speed continuously. So you just need to take some of these numbers with a grain of salt. So how efficient are today's modern wood stoves? Well, some manufacturers will tell you 85%. Others will say they're down somewhere around the low 60s. 70% efficiency is probably a good number, but remember, that is at wide open operation. Now, there are three things that will kill your opinion of a stove: bad wood, a poorly sealed chimney or installation, and a drafty house. Now, the majority of those three things are why you read bad reviews online about good stoves. And it boils down to some people who will write, I cut down my oak tree today, I split it, brought it in the house, my stove won't burn it, so it's a junk stove. If you put kerosene in your truck and you drive on 4 flat tires, you're not going to be happy either. Your stove will have to boil wet wood before it can burn it, and that utilizes energy. If you have to constantly keep the dampener open in order to maintain a good burn temperature, you're allowing good heat to go up the flue when it could be utilized heating your home. So the effectiveness of a stove in your house relates to your climate, of course the floor plan, the size of stove, but a proper installation, setup, a good sealed chimney are all keys to maximizing the benefits of your wood stove. Now, for the sake of discussion, let's say that a modern EPA rated wood stove is about 30% more efficient than one from the turn of the 20th century. You could use those numbers in a variety of ways. You could say that, well, that's 30% longer burn times on your wood. You could also look at it as that's 30% less wood that you've got to cut, split, stack, carry into the house over the course of a winter. And that makes a big difference. So does having a fan on a wood stove make it more effective? Well, I suppose some of us would want to believe so. The laws of physics are pretty clear that hot air rises and it pushes air. If you could see heat from your stove, you would see it going along the walls, moving up to the ceiling and pushing out into your room until it starts to cool and slowly descends. Now, depending on your floor plan, I suppose a fan can help push it out faster and warm it faster if it's an open floor plan, for example. These stoves have been perfectly effective units for hundreds of years with no fan at all. So in some cases it's just preference. Yes, it can help. No, you don't need it. Now, a few other things come to mind when it comes to a salesman or an advertisement's claims on a stove. A manufacturer may say that a particular stove will heat up to 2,000 square feet of your home. Well, that might be true if you have a modern home in southern Missouri, for example. But that same stove may struggle to heat 1,000 square feet in a drafty old farmhouse up in Minnesota during the same period of winter. So you have to take those claims with a grain of salt. Just as there are mathematical calculations out there, nobody can tell you specifically how long it's going to take to burn your cord of poplar or ash or walnut or oak in your wood stove. Now, once a stove reaches operating temperature and your house is comfortable, you also shouldn't have to continually be loading up the firebox. Minimal maintenance is all you should have to do to maintain temperatures in your house. What I generally like to see in an effective stove is when you go to bed at night and you have loaded up the box that last time, you shut the lights out and you go to sleep. When you wake up in the morning, there should be an active hot bed of coals in there so that all you have to do is throw some wood in, and within a matter of a short period of time it will reignite and you've got your stove going again. Folks, you can find more videos about wood stoves, fireplaces, troubleshooting, and a host of other topics here at AmericanOutdoors.net. Just browse our YouTube channel, leave a question or a comment. Thank you for watching. God bless, and we'll see you soon.